Since the beginning of War Robots in 2014, there have been many updates contributing new and unique features to the game, changing it forever. In today's video, we're going to be checking out the best updates of each year in War Robots. Let's get straight into it. During the first year of War Robots, progress was a lot slower than it is today. There were only 3 maps and no robots had complex abilities. This brings me into update 0.2, the release of the Cossack. Why is the Cossack important? Because it was actually the first robot to have an active ability, paving the way for all those robots that we currently use today. The jump ability was quite prominent in capturing beacons, and most people run Cossack with an EQ as a beacon runner. And with that, we'll be jumping in to 0.8. During this update, the Griffin was released, Cossack's big brother. Having a jump ability and pretty good firepower, this thing would quickly become the meta. Popular setups were RDB Griffins, Plasma Griffins, and Death Button Griffins, and most of these setups are actually still used today in the lower leagues. But aside from equipment, let's get into the pièce de la résistance, the Shenzhen map, still very popular today, with good design, good beacon distribution, and some allocated areas to open space and dense cover. This is a really balanced map, and still, after 10 years, it remains one of the best maps in the game. That's it for year 1, let's get straight into year 2. During year 2, there were many notable changes, like the addition of Dead City and the Canyon map. However, in my opinion, update 1.0 takes the cake. Here's why. The Stalker and Rhino were introduced in update 1.0, which meant that the addition of stealth and built-in physical shields were finally added to the game. This would then go on to evolve into much more complex robots. However, these also had their own designated playstyles, making play more dynamic. For example, the Stalker was an assassin, and the Rhino was a brawler charging straight into the enemy, both of which made the game a lot more fun. This was only amplified by the addition of new plasma weapons, the Magnum, Taran, and Trebuchet. But superseding all of that cool equipment is the workshop. In update 1.0, the workshop was added, and you could convert your silver into workshop points, allowing you to get unique robots like the Stalker and Rhino that we mentioned previously. The workshop is still around today, hence why it's one of the most important features of year 2 in War Robots. Overall, update 1.0 was the start of something big, and that's why it gets the place as one of the best updates of year 2 in War Robots. Year 3 of War Robots is where the game really started to pick up the pace in terms of development. One of my favourite updates from this year is update 1.8, where the Camelot Pack was released. The Lancelot, Gareth, and Galahad, each with their own physical shields, would soon take over the battlefield and be used quite frequently. One iconic setup that most of you veterans remember is the Ancelot. This setup was a Lancelot with an Ancel shield and 2 Tarans, and this also brought about an element of skill, since if you aimed correctly, you could bypass the Lancelot's shield, dealing full damage to the enemy's hull. Continuing with the theme of releasing packs of themed robots, we have update 2.4. Within this update, the Wild Bunch was released. Doc, Jesse, and Butch, each with 4 weapons and a quick draw ability, which allowed you to switch between the 2 weapons on the back of your robot. This was really useful, since if you were low on ammo or needed different weapons for different situations, you could build your robot accordingly. This was also one of the first special events, the Christmas event, where you could collect snowflakes and open up crates, also gifting snowflakes to your friends. Overall, this was a pretty good year, but this doesn't even get close to how much the game was about to evolve. The 4th year of War Robots started off with a bang. Update 3.1 and 3.3 bringing about 2 new game modes, where Domination was the only one able to be played. We had Beacon Rush and Team Deathmatch added to the pool, making games far more dynamic. But what exceeds these updates? It's Update 3.2, the start of the modern era of robots, the Dashbots. Bulgasari, Haichi, and Kamiho, each with 2 ability charges, took the meta by storm. They were very difficult to obtain, however, if you had one, the popular setups were the Orkan Haichi and the Scourge Bulgasari. The following updates would include a plethora of robots like the Spectre, the Strider, the Pursuer, etc, etc. However, the first 3 updates are arguably the most important in the 4th year of War Robots. Let's see what comes up next. During the 5th year of War Robots, the game was taken to new heights, with packs of robots like the Invader, Blitz and Raker, and the Chinese Dragons. Innovation was at an all-time high. But which of these updates were the best? In my opinion, it's Update 4.2, solely because of the Workshop 2.0 feature. When Workshop 2.0 was released, you could produce huge amounts of components for low amounts of silver in an absurdly short time. You could also produce meta equipment like the Avenger at the time. For example, you could produce 400 components per slot in 2 hours and 35 minutes, which means that you'd have an entire Avenger in 14 hours. Right now, it takes 30 days to get an entire tier 4 weapon, and that's because Workshop 2.0 was so broken that it got nerfed almost a month after release. Aside from the Workshop, what else came in this update? The new lockdown shotguns, Halo, Corona and Glory, would find their place in the meta. Since the effect chance was completely random, you could be shot with 1 particle of these weapons and be locked down immediately. They also had tremendous firepower and good accuracy at long ranges, which is why they were nerfed today. But another major feature in Update 4.2 was the revamped clan system. You could now climb the clan ranks and get additional daily tasks for your rank. Overall, this was an amazing update, and the features it contributed to the game that are still around today make it the most important update of Year 5. Massive changes were made to the game during Year 6 of War Robots. The biggest of those changes was the addition of Titans in Update 5.6. At first, 3 Titans were introduced: the Kid, the Arthur, and the Ao Ming, the Ao Ming being the strongest out of the 3. The main reason Titans was so important were because they changed the dynamics of games entirely, as Titans had the power to turn the tables of a match. And they still have that same ability today. These Titans were released with unique weapons, the Rupture, Tsar, Gendarme, and Cuirassier, which were very powerful at the time. Aside from the Titans, this was also the Christmas event, and you could open up crates winning wonderful prizes like the Giftbringer Fenrir and the Candy Viper, both of which were some of the first special editions to be added to the game. And as a little Christmas gift, players received a free leech with the Moros paint job. Once again, this was a massive update, and the effects of this update still linger today, with Titans being so influential. During Year 7 of War Robots, it was time to get up close and personal. Update 6.6, the release of the Minos Titan. Charging straight at the enemies, it forced Titans into close range play, where most Titans would stick to long range battles. This is honestly because most of the weapons available at the time did not accommodate close range play, but this is where the new Titan shotguns Grom and Squall would come in. Paired with the Minos, this would be a difficult build to fight, and with this thing charging at you, you would be scared for your life. Sticking with the theme of shotguns, we have the Sonic shotguns, 200 meters range and dealing the first bit of grey damage in the game. These things would also become the meta. As a side note, this update also came with one of the most legendary soundtracks in War Robots, the Valley of the Dead Robots, which you can probably hear playing in the background right now. Overall, an amazing update and an amazing year, and it was honestly hard to choose between the many updates that were introduced during Year 7. The 8th year of War Robots saw the rise to the Fafnir, Orochi and Revenant. However, overturning this meta was update 7.8, the release of the bendy weapons. The Razdor, Smooter and Cremola, with tremendous firepower and the bullet snapping mechanic, had no trouble taking down Fafnir in the air. This was only amplified by the release of the Yang Li pilot for the Siren and Harpy, which would strike the Fafnir down with the Shield Breaker ability. However, when one meta ends, another one must replace it, and this was the Khepri meta. The Khepri was the best support robot, the best tank, and the best beacon runner due to its high speed, its link ability, and its high health pool with resistance. This was only amplified by the release of the Repair Amplifier, which can still to this day turn regular robots into tanks. Speaking of tanks, we had the release of the Baihu Luchador and its special edition counterparts. This was the Oolong Cinder and the Baihu Basilisk, which still remain to this day some of the best designed special editions in the game. To wrap up, the last major feature of update 7.8 was the introduction of the Orion battleship, which was the first new mothership to be added since the release in 7.3. Overall, this update really turned the game upside down, which is why it takes the place as one of the most influential updates in Year 8 of War Robots. During the 9th year of War Robots, there was a redefinition of power, with most weapons getting a 40% damage buff just to be able to compete with their meta counterparts, and setups like the Claw Angler and the Spear Nether running riot on the battlefield. It was a chaotic year to say the least. But out of all of these massive updates, which one was the most important? In my opinion, it's update 8.8 due to the release of Extermination. When Extermination was released, its levels were quite rudimentary, however, it would go on to evolve into crazy boss fights like the Bastion and custom maps like Ground Zero. Aside from the gameplay aspect of Extermination, it made a lot of players far more wealthy due to the abundance of resources it would offer for getting platinum on all 5 stages. Aside from casually killing spiders, there was also a competitive aspect when Extermination would be released into leaderboards. For example, the Battle for Ground Zero leaderboard, providing upgrade tokens and a special title for people getting first place. Alongside the release of Extermination was the Sirius Titan. Taking inspiration from Mars, it has 2 turrets, 1 a sonic cannon and 2 a grey HP healing turret, which made it the first Titan to heal grey HP. Aside from that, something absolutely unavoidable is the release of the Titan Repair Amplifier. This passive module would go on to redefine the meta of Titans with unkillable builds. It's not until update 9.9 with the release of the Avalon that this thing would reach its true potential. Due to the grey HP healing, Titans with 2 repair amplifiers would become completely immortal. Overall, with these factors considered, update 8.8 is the most influential update of Year 9 in War Robots. In the 10th and most recent year of War Robots, there were unique abilities like the Newton's Choke, and the first ever robot with more than 4 weapon slots, the Dagon. However, despite these insane features, the update with the most influence was Update 9.1. During this update, you could acquire the first ultimate ever released, the Ultimate Spectre with Ultimate Orkans. Since that update, a new ultimate has been released every consequent update, which shows that the effects of this update still linger today. The release of Ultimate Editions would also indirectly make leaderboards more competitive, since there was more of an incentive to get leaderboard points for the Ultimate Datapad milestones. Aside from Ultimate Shenanigans, we also had the release of the Rook Titan, which is still a very prevalent Titan in the meta today. A good attacker with decent firepower and great defense, it's no wonder that the Rook is so common on the battlefield today. Speaking of common setups, we also had the release of the Reaper Crisis. This setup is feared by many players on long-range maps due to the overwhelming firepower that the Crisis possesses. When matched with the heavy damage and defense breach of the Reapers, this setup is a force to be reckoned with. With Ultimate Editions as the focal point of this update and some of the gear also being used today, it shows that Update 9.1 truly changed the game in a way that most other updates did not. The 11th year of War Robots has only just begun, with planned content like the Raptor and new features like the overhauled clan system and module system. The future is looking packed with new and lasting contributions to the game. Since this year of War Robots has only just begun, it would be unfair to compare Update 10.0 to its preceding updates. However, one of the most unique features about this update is the sheer mass of community events occurring right now, with awesome opportunities like art and edit contests, or just general fun events for you to engage with. Update 10.0 definitely has one of the best community engagements of all time. This video I've made today is my contribution to Freddy M's video contest, and if you guys like it, head to the link in the description, join Freddy's server, and make sure to vote for my video if you want me to win. If you don't, that's cool too, because you've stuck around and made it to the end of the video, and ultimately, you can tell me which update was your favorite in the comments section below. If you do this and say why it's your favorite update, leave your ID and platform in the comments section with the hashtag WRBestUpdate. This is also a secret giveaway, which is why it's not in the title, not in the description, and not in the thumbnail. Once again, guys, I really just want to reiterate, I appreciate you guys so much for sticking around. These videos take a lot of effort to make, and there is a ton of failure involved as well. You guys make this channel possible, so thank you very much. I'll be seeing you in the next video. Peace.